Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with hosts Amy Babinchek, James Kernan, and Carl Polachek. Produced by Kernan Consulting and for the international MSP community. We are dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional. The SMB Community Podcast is sponsored by Kernan Consulting and the Millionaire Mastermind peer groups. If you're looking for a small, more intimate growth group that will help you with your strategic planning, sales and marketing, and helping hold you accountable in a professional but fun way, then come check out the Millionaire Mastermind peer groups, mmpeergroups.com for more information. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the SMB Community Podcast. This is James Kernan with Kernan Consulting, and I am here with my friend, Amy Babinchek. Hey, Amy, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, James. Great to see you. We had you and I had a nice long break over the holidays, so it's good to be back.
We did, yes. So it is great to be back. It's been a busy week. We got a lot of things to talk about, so I'm just going to dive right into things. But so I wanted to start off with the question of the week, which I thought was a really interesting one because here we are in January, right? The question was relating to year planning. And the question came in, should you update your goals and objectives every year or work off of a longer business plan, like a 3 to 5 year plan? So what are your thoughts on doing it annually or over a period of time?
I think in our industry, you have to do it annually, at least, because things change too fast. You know, I can't even tell you what technologies are going to be in play 5 years from now. I think it's too difficult to look out that far in this industry. Yeah, you can have general goals for your business. We're going to grow by, minimum 10%, hopefully 20%, right? You can have general goals like that. But for me, the business plan is about specific goals and how I'm, drilling down into how I'm going to meet my goals. And that's going to relate to the technologies that are in play and what you're offering your clients and, what your employees are skilled at doing. And that's all in flux in our industry. So if you're not looking at that every year minimum, I think you could end up stagnating pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's funny that you said what you said. The world economy, the national economy just moves so fast. Everything moves fast, but especially our industry. Our industry moves like a freight train. And if you're not reviewing what you're doing and making adjustments, creating new goals and objectives, I think on a regular basis, then you're missing the boat big time. So it's kind of funny. Whenever I talk about planning, strategic planning, I get up in front of big groups and I'm at some conference talking. I'll ask a question. I'll go, okay, does anybody in the audience want to pay me $10,000 to write your 5-year business plan? Anybody? Any takers? And everybody's kind of looking funny. And then I said, good. I just needed to ask to make sure, because don't ever do that. You need to do it annually. And there is I call it the 1-page business plan. It's 12 months of baby steps. What are your goals? What are your objectives? What's the vision? And then update your unique selling proposition. I've got that exercise. If anybody wants that template, just email me at james@kernanconsulting.com. You should be doing it every year for sure. And now's the time to do it, right?
Yeah, you mentioned that template a lot, and it's good that you do. It's because it's a 1-pager, and I can tell you when you go say you went out and you took a class about starting a business, or you bought a book about starting a business, they have these long, elaborate business plans. And I think when people think business plan, that's what they think. It sounds like it's, a huge time suck and it's going to be a massive input of energy. And how are you going to fit that in? You should do it, but you're not going to do it. just a one pager. Get your goals down on paper so that you can get your head straight of the direction that you're heading in. That's all you really need.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that exercise as well because specifically because of how short it is and how fast you can get it done, 15 to 30 minutes normally. And
Hmm.
it takes me 3 pages to tell everybody how to write a one-page business plan. That's my big funny joke. But the last page is an already done for you one-page plan. So you kind of can see what one looks like. So it is a great template to use. So thanks for asking that question. If you have any other questions like that, email Amy or myself, or just drop a note for us up on the smbcommunitypodcast.com website. We'd love to hear from you. So there are some interesting things in the news as well. So here was one headline that just caught my attention, and we briefly chatted about this, but it says, "Is ConnectWise a sinking ship?" And this was an article I read out of MSP Tech News, right?
That's such a great clickbait title.
It is.
Like, at the beginning of the year, how well, you and I were talking before the show about how there's not a lot of news right at the beginning of the year. There's a lot of predictions and stuff. But one of the things that always gets thrown out there beginning of the year is like words that were over, phrases that were over. Like, I am
Right.
so tired of the clickbait headline.
I
It's
am
like
too.
they're repulsive. They're like
Yeah.
they're no longer getting me to click. They're now repulsing me from clicking. So
No.
if you're out
Yeah.
there, journalists, please let's get rid of the clickbait headline.
Right. Right.
All right, so let's talk about this one. We have essentially consolidated the industry into two platforms at this point, right? There's ConnectWise and there's Kaseya,
Yep.
and there probably always will be, right? I don't think either one of them is going to become a sinking ship. They're they're good at doing what they're doing. They're both continuing to make acquisitions, but there is frustration on the partner's point of view for both of
Right.
these platforms. And
Right.
I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of investment that they're making in integrating these so that they look and behave like a single product.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
having go someplace and tick off and buy all the individual pieces of this suite, you know, if you spent the money to buy the product, spend the money to integrate the product,
Hmm.
right? If you look at if these companies look upward to companies that they should be looking toward, the IBMs and Microsofts of the world, even the
Hmm.
Salesforce of the world, that's not how products are sold. They don't have a, tick tick all of the things that we represent. That's what distributors do. That's not
Yeah.
what platform providers do. Platform providers invest in making acquisitions that become integrated into the product, that it's just a seamless feature of what you do.
I agree. There's too many bells and whistles inside those platforms, and those two are the big 800-pound gorillas. Now, I haven't seen anything about them losing market share. I've read that they flattened out in their growth. They both have big chunks of the market share, and there's some up and comers like Halo PSA. Is one that's kind of rapidly becoming more popular on the scene.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't think they're going away anytime soon. And back to your point, I like what you just said about, spending more money and more effort on the integrations. I think is important, and or just customer service. They both have terrible reputations for having just very, very strict contracts and having no mercy for people, and hurting people or driving them out of business if they don't adhere to the contracts or the terms and conditions. The customer support, I've heard really bad things about that, billing issues, and then them just not fixing it. So it's interesting. I wish they would spend more energy instead of buying new stuff to kind of make what they have better from a customer experience and a customer support standpoint. That's what I'd
Yep.
love to
I think
see.
they both have work to do, and hopefully they have that on their 1-year business plan for 2024.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Their one pager. Integrate these products.
Virtual high five on that.
Yeah.
High fives, high fives. All right. So here was another interesting headline I saw. This one, it just said major consumers sever relations with hacked brands. And then the subtitle was ransomware attacks in 2023 surged by 95% year over year, uh, you know, already surpassing 21 and 22 totals combined. So,
Scary.
yeah, that is scary. And you and I've talked about this before. It's only going to get worse, right?
Hmm.
And I think the moral of that story, without really digging into the details of that clickbait article, was don't get hacked. And the brands that have been hacked, the one that comes to mind for me that I saw firsthand, I had several clients that, most all of my clients are very security minded MSPs. They're really working hard on locking down and improving their security stack. The password management tools, one big one. LastPass has been in the news multiple times this past year, and I just think there's a big mass exodus as a result. So I agree with what they're saying in this article. They're losing market share, and some of these companies are going to go out of business, unfortunately. But um,
It's super unfortunate. The thing is that I saw another article kind of related to this that said you may be too small to make the news, but you're not too small to be hacked or to be attacked in a
right.
ransomware. And that was a really important message because although you still might have it leaked out to your customers that this is what happened.
Yeah.
In many cases, you're still required to report that that's what happened.
Hmm.
And if that's the case, you probably are going to lose customers, especially if you don't handle that communication properly.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, to me the response and just from the communication standpoint, just like what you said, and then you need to have a plan in place because when you are in a high stress situation, you're not thinking clearly, and you and a lot of your key team members are going to be staying up 24 hours a day trying to fight through what you're faced with. So I always would highly recommend have a response plan in place with step-by-step guidelines. And it's actually kind of a creative idea. We were thinking of doing this at one of our upcoming roadshow live events of doing an incident response workshop and helping people create their plan.
mhm.
If or when you're hacked, what's your plan? What are you going to do? And then just make it an interactive 1 hour workshop to kind of build up your plan.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea because being tech people, our plan is to jump in and fix it, right?
Hmm. Right.
That's the beginning and the ending of the plan, right? It's the jump in and fix it. It's the 5-word plan,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But there's a lot of other stuff that needs to go on there. We talked about communication. Of course, there's also insurance companies to deal with.
Right.
There's the business continuity aspect. There's a lot to think about there. So
There's a
yeah,
lot.
developing that plan would be quite valuable. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
So another topic I wanted to find out from you, Amy, what's coming up for you in Q1?
I'm going to be speaking in February at SMB Tech Fest. I'm going to be
Okay.
doing 2 sessions there. I'll be doing a business session on uh, Microsoft's Defender for Business and talking about how you're going to position that to your clients and understanding exactly what it is because it's not only a extended detection and response suite, but it's also a security analyst.
Mm,
And Microsoft has thrown an amazing number of things into that package. So it's going to review what's in there, why it's important, and how you can take advantage of it and position it with your customers. So that's going to be a main stage event. And then I'm doing a technical deep dive on a breakout event on conditional access.
Okay.
So, so anybody who's going to be out there in California, it's in February. I think the 8th, 9th, something like that. But SMB Tech Fest, hope to see you guys out there.
Yep, that'll be a great event. That'll be a great event. Yeah, there's a couple things coming up for me. There'll be in Honolulu, Hawaii. There's an MSSP sales and marketing event in Oahu. It's at Turtle Bay Resort, up on the north shore there of the island of Oahu, January 16th through the 18th. So that's coming up real quick. And then in March in Austin, Texas, there'll be the Mastermind Roadshow. So we'll drop the links and coupon codes up in the show notes for people to get access to any of those events. As Amy and I have talked about, our favorite events to go to are more of the smaller, more intimate ones, anywhere between, 50, 200 people at these events where you can make meaningful relationships and have great conversations and get things done, as opposed to an event with 5,000 people and you can't find a parking spot and you
Not
never
a
run into
fan.
the same person. Yeah, not a fan. I agree.
Not a fan. I don't like to walk into an auditorium to listen to a speaker and sit there with a thousand or 600 or 800 other people. You know, I, I want to be able to talk to people and to get to know people as the event goes on. For me, that's where the real value's at. So yeah, small events for sure. And by the way, is it my imagination or is Honolulu like the hot new place to hold an event?
It is the hot new place. Well, especially for us Midwesterners, where I'm in the midst of a big snowstorm right now, and the temperatures will be sub-zero, and
Oh,
can't wait to be in Hawaii. So looking forward to that. This week we've got 5 minutes with a smart person. We've got our colleague Carl Palachek actually interviewed industry friend Erick Simpson.
everybody should know Eric Simpson by now.
Yes,
But
he
he's
is.
got some new stuff that he's doing. So I'm sure that interview is going to be enlightening to see what for everybody to know what Eric's up to now because he has changed his business model quite a bit. And I'm not going to spoil it because I'm sure Eric's going to talk about that.
I caught up with Erick Simpson, who has a brand new community going on. And so I wanted to talk to him about that and find out what's going on. And here is that interview. All right, I'm talking today with Mr. Erick Simpson, who has been a friend of mine for a couple of decades now. Shocking, isn't it?
Well, when you're passionate about what you do, as we both are, Carl, it doesn't seem like 2 decades, does it?
It does not. So this will air, I think, in January, but in December, you launched a new community. But before we get to that, let me back up and say, who are you and how did you get here and why should we care about your new community?
Well, I mean, I've been in the channel for several decades. I guess my people know me best from, starting and selling one of the first MSPs early in 2000s. So we transitioned from professional services, kind of time and materials organization, Carl, like many of us were, to what we called flat rate IT before, this sexy moniker of managed services came.
I've never heard of managed services. What is that?
So we did that and got figured it all out and were very successful at it. We took an offer to sell the organization in 2007, then invested those proceeds into launching MSP University, which we ran for about the next 9 years. And that's where we trained about 30,000 IT providers through in-person boot camps and workshops and webinars and live virtual events like all over the world. And that was a crazy crazy fun time because nobody else was doing that kind of thing. And it was all thought leadership based, right? So we were kind of ahead of the curve on some of that stuff. We beta tested lots of services for MSPs, Carl. We even did, service desk for a while for MSPs. We did marketing for a while for MSPs until we figured, you know what, let's just focus on the stuff we do best. And that's really, coaching and consulting and helping MSPs become better MSPs. And along the way, connecting, strategic vendor partners to those MSPs so they can continue to grow together. And today, I work with MSPs and I work with vendors just like I've always done, and just enjoying every moment of it.
Very good. So in December, you launched MSP Mastered. What exactly is that? Like how exactly what it is, and then how is it different from whatever else might be out there?
Well, it's a platform and a website that now houses every single asset, tool, form, piece of collateral, calculator that I've created over the last couple of decades, on demand, webinars and video training, hundreds of those, hundreds of assets. We have master classes, so 90 plus courses that comprise how to become a best-in-class MSP from an essentials perspective, from an advanced perspective, how to bundle, price, and sell cybersecurity. There are sales mini master classes. There are service delivery mini master classes. So the intention, Carl, was to create a destination for MSPs or aspiring MSPs or even mature MSPs to go to dive in and get, 3 levels of support. One level of support being do it yourself, right? So it's a subscription model, a flat fee, very low monthly fee to get access to everything. And there you can do it yourself. Then we have coaching, where, kind of do it with our guidance. And then we have, consulting where we'll roll up our sleeves and work with you on your business to improve it. And then we're launching peer groups. So we're just trying to address kind of the needs of all the MSPs that, I know that are out there. I'm a recovering MSP as you are, Carl, right? So we know where the challenges are and the pains are. And so I've taken a very prescriptive step or series of steps to say, here are the pain points in these different categories in your business and how you can improve them. And our LMS that manages all of our courses and curriculum has quizzes and downloadable assets. So partners can enroll their entire organizations and then assign them training and then measure those results. So it was just another evolution to make it easier for MSPs to get the kind of support and guidance. And then we have unlimited support, for the MSPs. If they need something, we don't have it. Hey, we'll either refer them somewhere or we'll create it and make it available. So again, just continuing to deliver on that, you said, that community feeling, right? You and I have grown up in the era of, we've seen great communities, and we've seen some that no longer exist, unfortunately. Great partner programs and some that don't longer exist, and some have come in and taken over. You asked the question, what makes it different than the other stuff that's out there? Well, it's basically, it's a non-denominational opportunity. We no matter what tool you're using, no matter what vendors you're strategically partnered with, it's all about process, procedure, training, and education. And I like to say, Carl, that, just watching videos without some sort of a quiz or something like that measures what you've supposedly have learned is just entertainment, right? So that's why, we use the LMS for specific things, but there's also tons and tons of searchable videos on every different topic that an MSP or an MSSP or a cybersecurity specialist would be interested in.
So you use the we. Is this the royal we? Does this mean that you're doing everything and maybe with a little help from your family? Or is there a we behind the we?
Yeah, I've surrounded myself with folks that are MSP experts as well, that are participating and helping create this, and folks that are interested can browse over to mspmastered.com and just see what the team looks like. So, I've come to the realization, Carl, that you can only do so much. And, you're probably only good at one or two things, right? Everything else is like, hey, I'll give it my best shot. But over the years, as you've, aged us in your opening statement, over the years, I've come to learn that, I should probably stay away from all the stuff that, I don't do excellently, and focus on the things that I'm passionate about, that I enjoy, and then I'm proud to deliver, and I know that I did a really, really good job. So, the intention here is to say, well, let's build an organization with other folks that feel the same way in their area of expertise, right? And then deliver this together to the channel.
Very cool. So can folks just sign themselves up, or do they need to go through some onboarding process, or what's the deal?
I made it super easy. We know that, for us fickle MSPs, we want it easy. We want the easy button. So it's self-serve. You can just sign up and get started immediately. There is no onboarding. There's a page that says, hey, thanks for signing up. Here's, step 1 through 5 to get going, and you're off and running. So it takes literally minutes to begin getting value from the platform.
What's the one thing that's going to get me the most value on the 13th minute of being a member?
I would say immediately sign up all of your team. And it's as simple as, once you log in, first name, last name, their email address, and they get access to the platform right away. Get everybody in, because we know how busy we are, right? And yeah, I've been a victim of this, Carl. I'm sure you have. It's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna, this looks great. It's going to be good for my organization. I'm going to set up the trial, and then I'm going to sign up for it, and I'm going to evaluate it myself to determine whether or not it's good for my team. Meanwhile, nobody else has access to it because you're so busy and you haven't done that first step, and they're not getting the value from it. And everyone on your team has a different need and a different perspective, So number one, get all of your team into the platform, because they're dealing with stuff right now today that they may not even be talking to you about. There may be an asset, a resource, a tool, a download, a quick video, a course that they can get immediate value from right away. So again, the value is to the organization and building the valuation of the organization, because at this stage, in our careers, Carl, we have worked with so many MSPs that now we're helping them exit. And they're looking at, how do I get the highest valuation for my organization? What are the things that I need to be looking out for, so that, I take advantage of all my hard work and the efforts that I've executed to build this organization. So what are the things that add valuation to my organization? And I've taken, very specific assets, put those together, and training. I've done over 40 M&A engagements with MSPs and a couple of vendors on both sides of the buy and sell side of the table. And so there's lots of valuation M&A focused training and tools and assets, and post M&A integration plans and schedules and things like that in the platform. That I'm not sure you'll find that MSP specific M&A guidance anywhere else.
It's so interesting to think back when you and I first met. We first started helping people and writing books, that 20 years later, we'd be helping people get out of the business. First, we helped them get into the business. Then we're helping literally the same people get out of the business. So,
and yes, books and white papers and case studies all along the way, and great relationships that we've built together. Our relationship is, the strongest relationship and friendship that, I have in the channel. You and I go back a long way, Carl. We've probably got, dirt on each other that, we keep in our back pockets.
Ixnay. Ixnay on the hurt day.
Ever share.
But what's interesting is I am so committed to the community side of it, as are you. And so it's interesting to see, vendors pop in for whatever, 12 months, and then completely disappear. It's interesting to see communities rise and fall and fade away. It's also interesting to see the communities that stay 10 years, 20 years, right? And so forth. And, there's a side of this industry that's always going to be very, very personal, even though there's a massive turnover. 25% of the people in this industry weren't here 5 years ago. So they need to be introduced to this stuff, and they need to know how to do it the right way, and to believe that the community side of it is a true strength, and that there's no fear, there shouldn't be any fear that you're going to be talking to your competitors and that somehow they'll steal your secret sauce, right? You and I compete. I think we've competed from the 15th minute that we knew each other, right? And like you said, we are long-term friends. We mastermind together, we promote each other, we help each other. And that's the way the community is built. And that's the way it's going to be maintained long-term.
You know, it's funny when you look at it from a certain perspective, Carl, you think that you've got, you know, the only answer to this thing. I mean, everybody, I say, look, explore every opportunity, engage with every community. You know, there are lots of folks just like you and I in the channel that have paid our dues, that are go-givers, that give and build communities, right? I mean, and we promote each other, we support each other. It's weird to me to think that, you know, there's a finite market that, you know, we're all scrabbling, you know, to serve. I mean, there is so much opportunity to help so many partners and vendors out here, that, you know, what is personally gratifying to me is what you just described, is working together, supporting each other, because the rising tide lifts all boats. I'm better, you know, for our relationship together, Carl. My perspective on things, my strategies are enhanced by our relationship. You know, my business is enhanced by our relationship, and I try to give that back with you know, others and others that we work with together. You and I, like you say, it'd be funny to you know, to write a book together just to, you know, just the last 15 years, like the history of managed services, right? I mean, we've seen some things.
Well,
right?
that is certainly true.
Very interesting. And like you say, we've seen, you know, people come and go. We've seen organizations come and go, vendors come and go, MSPs come and go. But at the end of the day, the community is still strong. The community that you and I both love and have benefited from all these years.
Well, and it's always great to see you on the road. The last time I think we were at an event together was a long time ago. We need to fix that, maybe in early 2024.
Something tells me we will fix that in early 2024.
Very good. Well, I wish you great luck with MSP Mastered, and folks can go to mspmastered.com and get started on their own. And if they have any questions, can they email you?
You can email me at erick@mspmastered.com, ERICK @mspmastered.com.
Very good. Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Carl.
All right, gang. So I think that is it for us today on the SMB Community Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.